Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Different video for you today, quite a bit different than what I normally do. We're up here on the roof of the farmhouse, and I haven't talked about this much, but what I spend a good majority of my time doing for a little bit every year is coming up here and putting elastomeric coating on the farmhouse roof, because the farmhouse needs a new roof and we don't have time to put one on. And that's what usually happens most years, and when we have time, the budget gets tight, and it's kind of expensive to put a roof on. So I came out here today, I was gonna clean the truck. I put my rubber boots on and everything, lost my damn scrub brush. We're supposed to have 3 of them. So I was looking around, wandering through the backyard to make sure the wind didn't catch it and blow it away somewhere, and I look up here and I see chunks of shingles up here. Now, as you notice, this roof is white, so a chunk of black anything up here is noticeable easily. And so I get to look and I'm like, well, what the hell happened? Did a tree limb hit the house? And or like, did shingles start peeling loose? Because they shouldn't. Even with this thin layer of elastomeric coating on, it holds all this stuff solid. It glues them down. The wind can't catch them and they can't go anywhere. Oh, no, I come up here and for some reason the Racoons have come up and they've clawed a hole through the damn roof. They didn't just leave me the layer of the old shingles and maybe the felt. Oh, no. They went clear through the tar paper right down to the sheeting. And then they tore out that little hole there. And in case anybody was wondering if it was Racoons, there's the evidence. And yes, that's rye. Because I know for a fact they're living in that damn combine. Now here's what I can tell you. I can tell you 2 things. Number 1, I'm not really freaking happy because I wanted to clean the damn truck today while it was going to be sunny and some wind and warm. And the second thing I can tell you is that when we go over there to get that combine started, because yes, it's full of grain. Yes, that was stupid. No, we won't do it again. We left it full of grain because we thought we were going to be able to sell it to somebody, and then that just never materialized for a lot of reasons. Go over that in a video about the combine. But here's what I can tell you about that combine. When we clean that out, we're going to be ready, and any Raccoon that comes out of there he's going downstairs, if that makes any sense to any of you. I don't want to use specific words because YouTube doesn't really like that. Other specific words, they don't really care as long as you say. But anyway, the point is, now I got to come up here and fix this because, of course, it's supposed to rain tonight because, why not? And that's going to be fun. So I don't have a lot of material left. I've got some 3 tabs on hand because we did a repair up here last year in this spot. You should be able to, you can see a little better on camera if I get my hand back out of the way. You can see the difference between the old and the new. And I had to put this spot in because it had leaked here for so long that the sheeting had finally rotted and it was pretty sketchy to step on it. So I put a whole bunch of this on and it helped. And of course we repaint this because this stuff does kind of shrink and it cracks a little bit and the roof is struggling and it's a whole story. But we're going to do a video here just on the fly because I might as well get some damn content out of this. If I got to come up here and do stupid crap like this, I might as well make a video about it, right? That's what people want to see. So, I'm not a roofer. Just so we're clear, I am a farmer, which means I'm a roofer by proxy because, farmer's jack of all trades. So, the goal here, we'll back up just a little bit. The goal here, I need to square this off a little bit bigger area so that I can get a whole shingle in there and kind of spread stuff out. I'm not going to explain this very well. If you're a roofer, I hope you understand what I'm saying. Or if you're a carpenter or anything like that, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. But I'm going to square this off so that I can kind of spread out an entire shingle. I don't just want to cut a shingle to fit here and tack it down and then paint over it. I want to, it's kind of like with drywall where you put a layer of mud in to fill the joint and then you spread thinner layers on top of that and you spread it out, and it's supposed to, with drywall, what it's supposed to do is make it look nicer so you don't notice where the mud is at on the sheetrock joint. But on the roof here, I want to spread this out to where it just doesn't like gravitate to this low spot. Again, I'm doing a very bad job explaining it, but I hope you understand what I'm getting at. That's what I got to do here. I got to square it off just a little bit more. It doesn't have to be perfect. But the other thing I don't want to do, because again, whole story, we might go into it later if I get the tripod up here and talk while I work and I don't have to hold the camera. I don't want to drop a shingle in because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of shingles on here. Some parts of the roof, there's not even 1 layer of shingles. Well, no, that's not true. There's one layer of shingles everywhere at least. Most of the time, it's an average of 2 to 3 layers. When I started painting this roof, there used to be an average of 5 layers, but they were so loose, the top 2 layers, that I just scrubbed them right off. So now we're working with an average of 2 to 3, but this is the east side of the house, which means it's still got a lot of the original layering on. I don't want to put a shingle on here, a new shingle, and drop it down that much distance. I want a more gradual decline. So if I can get her down to 2 to 3 layers, I'd be happier with that. This is okay. It's not great. And yes, there's going to be felt on here and everything, tar paper, whatever you want to call it, but that doesn't, and it's thicker than this stuff. But I don't want a gradual plummet like that. So I got to square it off and slope it a little bit, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. Like I said, I'm not a roofer, I'm just a farmer. So we're going to do that. We'll get some new shingles in here, and then we'll paint over it, and that's the plan. So one more thing that I will mention. Some of you may have noticed this already. Some of you may not have. I'm going to point it out. So Dad used to work for a contractor back in the day. Okay? So one of the things they did roofing, they did pretty much everything. General contractor, you know. So one of the things they did a lot of was roofing. And the contractor there, his idea was, you know, when you put shingles on, I guess the manufacturer tells you you're supposed to line up the gutters on the shingles. Or maybe you're supposed to stagger them a little bit. I don't know. But a lot of people, I guess, just line them up like this. They line all the gutters up on the shingles to where you got these lines, like so. And the contractor's theory was, and Dad was like, well, that makes a lot of sense to me too, is that why would you line up all your gutters and accelerate your water down the roof and give it a chance to wear your roof faster? That was the theory. I don't know if it actually makes any sense or not. I mean, it makes sense to me. I can see the logic. So the way Dad did roofing, the way he was taught, was to stagger the gutters like this. There's a formula. I don't remember what it is. That's a small enough area over there that we're not going to do this and get real scientific. But that's why this part looks different here. Also because it's newer, of course. But you stagger the gutters so that the water doesn't start at the top and then just go down the roof faster as it gets towards the bottom. That's the theory. That's the goal. So when I put this stuff in, wherever my shingle gutters end up being, I am going to try and stagger them a little bit. So in addition to squaring off an area big enough, oh, someone's burning today. Can you believe this? Look at that. Someone's burning again today. Every time. There's always someone burning around here. Criminy. But anyway, I want to square this off, not just so that I can put an entire shingle in here, but also so that I can put enough of an entire shingle in here to stagger the gutters and do it sort of correct. I'm not looking to line stuff up here, okay? Does it make that big a difference on an area this small, on a roof this deteriorated? Probably not, but we're going to pretend it does, and I'm going to feel better about it if I do it that way. So, with all that being said, I will finish peeling this back and try and get everything ready so that I can start shingling and then painting when the sun gets past this tree over here. When it starts shining on here, it's got to warm the roof up a bit because the white stuff reflects a lot of heat. But it still needs to be kind of warm for not just the shingles to go ahead and bond, but also the roof paint to bond to the shingles. A little while later, and we have this area more or less squared off. It might be a little wide, but it worked out pretty good. Everything was just kind of getting difficult to peel off about like this, and usually on this roof, that's how you know when to stop, is when it starts getting extra difficult, then you probably ought to quit. But it squared off pretty good. Unfortunately, they started tearing a hole right where this hip is at, and I don't really want to cut and do all that, but I have to. So I've done the best I can. I swept it up a little bit. No need in putting, what do you call it? The dirt, basically, underneath the tar paper. There's no need in doing that. And then I was thinking, which usually is not a good sign, but I was thinking that right here, because they didn't tear down to the tar paper, I'll basically clean this up and I'll just slather it in roof coating and it'll be fine. And before you say, oh, that's kind of being lazy, isn't it? Is that even going to work? Yeah, because that's literally what I did on the rest of the roof. Before I put this piece on the north side here, a lot of it looked like that. So if we slather it in enough roof coating, it'll be fine. Probably. If it's not, I'll come up here and just keep putting more roof coating on until it quits leaking. That's basically what I've been doing. So, yeah, so that's the plan. I'll get the felt up here and the shingles, and we'll start putting stuff on. I set up the tripod because I was going to try and film this as I was doing it, and I'd like to, but I'm expecting FedEx today, and they should be here in about 30 minutes or so. That's usually when the FedEx driver shows up. He's got a whole box full of Grainger catalogs that I ordered, and I'm really excited about it. That's about the only good thing I have going for me today. So I don't want to set you guys up and get to filming and then have that whole segment interrupted. So we're just back to the before and after, but that's the norm on this channel. So there you go. Spring is my favorite season because, you know, you come up here and look out, you can see the clouds, even though it's supposed to rain later. I mean, the clouds are nice and pretty. The sky is nice and clear and blue. You can see clear over yonder because the air is not full of dust. Everything's nice and dark green because there's just plenty of water and it's springtime. It's not overly hot outside. The wind is nice. You get some occasional shade from the clouds. I mean, just look at those clouds. If you can't appreciate something like that, if you can't see the beauty in that, well, you are just a very miserable person, and I feel bad for you. I really do. This is about the only time of year where you live in a place like this, and it's actually worth living here, because in about 30 days, when we hit June and it's 103 and there's no wind, or there's all the wind and there's dust, and you can't you can't step foot outside without being covered in dust, and you can't see over yonder because it's all dusty and the air, it just dries everything out and you don't feel very good and all that, then you're like, oh my gosh, I hate this place. But this time of year, springtime, where you get a day like this where everything's just kind of green, you know, the grass is still nice and green, you get a little bit of the pollen in the air. Sometimes the people's allergies get to them, but for me, the air just smells real fresh, and I love this time of year. It's my absolute favorite. And then you look down and you see that you've got all this equipment scattered about that doesn't run. You know, we've got the Ford graveyard over there, which features a Ferguson and a Chevrolet. And then, of course, we've got the combine, which is missing a wheel. We've got the sprayer thing that doesn't run. We've got the swather thing that's supposed to be for parts. We've already stripped the parts off of it. And we look over there, we see the Cat loader for the International. You see the Moline a little bit through the trees there, maybe, that little bit of yellow. And then, unfortunately, you got to look back at what you're doing, because this is a time-sensitive job and you're wasting too much time making a YouTube video when you should probably be fixing the roof on the house. So I got 13 complete shingles. I've probably got 50 foot of tar paper. I got plenty of tar paper. And I got some drops. I got some drops of tar paper, too. And that should be more than enough to do this job. I got this all kind of cleaned up as good as I care to clean it up. Got the hammer stapler out. I even found staples for it. That was awesome. We have like 8 boxes of staples, but we don't know where they are, which that just fits in. So if I was smart, I would have measured this and made it, because those are 3 foot wide. Let me see if I can peel one off here without tearing it. Maybe. I set them up here so they'd stay a little warm. All right, so in theory, we do that. Okay, so if I was smart, I would have just cut this and made it as wide as these, which is 36 inches. But because I'm actually so smart, I don't even realize how smart I am. What I've actually done here is set this up to where I can easily stagger these shingles going to, oh, I think I just felt a drop of rain on my hand. That's bad. I should stop filming and work, but we're going to keep filming because I want content, damn it. Nobody watches my channel. It makes me sad. But anyway, I'm so smart that I actually have set this up to where I can stagger these, and I'll bet they'll end up just about right. I'll bet you. Let's peel off another one here. Let's peel off another one here and see what our stagger looks like real quick. Oh no. I didn't stagger him much, did I? Okay, we'll just pretend I am stupid. But the point is, by the time I get done, this will be okay. I'm sure I can do some kind of advanced mathematics, and by that I mean eyeball it and cut it. We can stagger stuff and make it look real pretty. It's going to get painted anyway. I mean, the shingles are just there as ballast. The elastomeric coating is going to do all the sealing, because this roof is so far gone. No amount of new shingles, except completely tearing off all the old shingles, is going to make this roof solid again. So anyway, that's the plan. Obviously, I'll put the felt on first, and I'll staple it down. And if the FedEx man would show up, I'd put you on the tripod so you could watch me and then yell at me because I'm not doing it the way you were taught. But he should be here any minute, and I don't really want to stop the video and all that. And he's probably running late today because he's got a lot of deliveries, because he's a busy guy. He's a good driver, and we're fortunate to have him. We have pretty good drivers out here in the countryside. FedEx and UPS, Express and Ground. So anyway, I'll get to work, and I'll bring you back when, I don't know, it looks different, I guess. Tar paper on, roofing felt, whatever you want to call it. Is it precision cut to fit? No. Is it completely flat and free of wrinkles? No. Did I put enough staples in? Maybe. Will it work for as good as this roof is? Absolutely. Now we move on to the shingles. Well, all right then, we got this part done. Is it straight? No. Is it correct? No. Oh, damn it. Look at that. I didn't even intend for that to happen. Anyway, is it straight? No. Is it correct? No. Is it even acceptably half-assed? We're going to say no. Will it work, though? Man, I hope so. Did I use all the little drops and stuff that I had? Yeah, mostly. I mean, I was chucking a few of them, but when I got done, I had all these extra pieces from a while back, and I was like, well, you know, hell, why not? We're already going to cover this with paint. This roof's already stupid. This just fits right in. I am so good at making stuff blend in with what already exists. Like, you wouldn't believe it. Don't ask me to come roof your house, though. This is what it's going to look like when it gets done. Yeah, so I basically just put everything everywhere and covered it. So this is going to get slobbered in roof paint, and it will seal or it won't. The shingles are just there as ballast. That's how this works. We have got some hellacious gaps here. If I was real professional, what I would have done was strip even more. I would have popped off tops of the caps. I really would have like feathered this out and stuff, and probably done it professionally. I've got a book in the house that tells you how to do this. I could ask Dad, but he'd probably tell me this is fine. So if he would approve, and since he's not here right now, he's going to approve when he gets back, because I would have already done it, and I got 3 shingles left over, we're going to call this good. So while I'm getting everything swept and picked up, I will go ahead and get ready to paint. This will go ahead and sit and stick a little bit. That tar on there is still good. This here, I think what I'll do is I'll peel off my good pieces out of the waste bucket, and I'll use that as ballast to fill this in. I'll throw a couple nails in it, and we'll just, like I said, slobber paint over it, because that's basically anything that's holding this roof together is that damn paint. If anything is holding this roof together, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're trying to get this done because I have some other stuff I need to do before it rains, and those clouds look like rain clouds. I mean, they could turn into rain clouds. It's Kansas. You guys know how it is. So, yes, and then in addition to that, now I understand that part of the reason you're not supposed to wear heavy-duty work boots is because you tear up the roof, but this was already cracked and torn up. I was going to have to paint it anyway, so it's not a big deal. But when I go to paint, I am going to change into my painting attire, which is a sacked-out pair of tennis shoes and a worn-out pair of jeans. And it works a lot better. It's not so hot up here. When you start painting the roof with this stuff, I mean, obviously it's going to reflect heat because it's white, but it reflects so much heat that I could be up here in 100 degrees and it's really not that bad. It'll sunburn you, though, that sun reflection. So, yeah, I'll get everything picked up, and then we'll go get the paint, and we'll start painting. even though I'm working at a pretty good pace, stuff is taking longer than I had planned, which is usually the case. The stuff we're using today, I'll show you real quick, and then I'll get you on the tripod. I'll show you how I put it on, right or wrong, and we'll talk about a few other things. But what we're using today is this Gardner brand Stay Cool Ultra with the Turbo Dry. It says 15-year warranty. Not on this roof, but that's okay. We're not looking to call them out on their warranty. We are using this product in a scenario that they did not intend it for. Nonetheless, it does work. So, this brand, I'm almost out of it. This stuff is nice because it dries really quickly and you can use it when it's not super warm outside. It's only like 76, 77 degrees right now. It's not bad. If it was hot outside, like 100 or even 90, I would not be using this stuff because it sets up way too fast. You can't spread it around. It starts to gel and gob, and you don't want that. So what I do is I get an old gallon bucket, this paint can right here. I pour it in there and I come up a gallon at a time, put it on with a brush because of the nature of the roof. And then when I'm done, I rinse it out with soap and water, let the brush dry for a few minutes. It's easier when it's warmer outside. And then I come back up here and I put more on until I am done. So a gallon will do quite a bit, even if you glob it on like I'm about to show you. And I have quite a bit to do. So let me get you on the tripod. FedEx man delivered my catalogs. I'm very excited about it, and I probably shouldn't have stopped to look at them inside because, well, you know, you just go into a time warp when you start looking at catalogs. Let's start painting the roof. All right, well, hopefully you guys can hear me okay. We'll find out, I guess, if you can't, but you should be able to. Get the rest of some of this little stuff out of here real quick. And as you can probably tell, I changed into my painting pants because these are pretty well shot in the areas that matter, and then my roofing shoes because the work boots, they're not very comfortable to wear up here. So what you want to do is just basically glob this stuff on. The roof has to be a certain temperature for this to work, but you just want to get a glob of this stuff and just smear it on there. When your roof is as bad as this one is, you do not want to try and be cheap with this stuff. Smear it on there, let it cure, work it into all those cracks and crevices, spread it around, get a good thick layer on there, and it'll start to set up. I think the bucket said it's ready, rain ready in like 30 minutes or so, given a certain temperature, of course. And then it full cures in 24 to 48 hours, which is one of the many reasons we like this stuff. So right here, where we've got our scene, hopefully you can see what I'm pointing at right now, but where the old shingles meet the new shingles, we really just want to work that stuff in there good. And it forms a pretty good coating on stuff, but you just want to get it on there, especially towards the top here. That's part of the reason I put these other little shingles towards the top, to give me some extra ballast so that the product did not have to work quite so hard to seal stuff up. That's the theory. And you get this worked in. Usually it takes a couple of coats. It takes about 6 hours for this to set to where you can put another coat on. I don't have that kind of time today. One should be enough, in theory. It'll stiffen your shingles up. It'll make everything cooler. It'll glue everything together. It's great stuff, this roof coating is. So most of this roof was done with the Henry brand. And there's nothing wrong with the Henry brand, except that it doesn't work as well in the colder temperatures. It's meant to be applied when it's hot outside, like really hot. And so if you're doing a roof in the middle of summer and you're painting it with this stuff, it's generally a good idea to go with the Henry because it works better. You can spread it around better. It doesn't set up quite as fast. But if you try and use it in the cold temperatures, it doesn't work as well. It just wants to run. This gardener stuff is good for days like today where it's not super hot, it gets cloudy, and we don't have a lot of heat built up on the roof shingles here. And you know, it doesn't take very long. This area I'm paying particular attention to because it's really got a lot to work hard. What I'll probably do is let this sit, and I'll come up and put another coat on this spot just because it's fresh. A lot of this will kind of soak into the shingle. Not like exactly soak in, but you'll still be able to see the brown through this when it cures. So I'll come up here in another day or two and give it another coat. But for now, this should keep the rain out if it does rain tonight. Or if it doesn't keep the rain out, it'll keep enough of it out that I can manage with buckets up in the attic. But I shouldn't have to do that. So there is one more brand that we have, because Dad wanted to try it. It's Rust-Oleum. I haven't used it yet. I'll start using it when I run out of this gardener, because there's undoubtedly going to be a time when I have to put more coating on the roof. So we have Rust-Oleum. It should be just as good as everything else I've used, but when I use it some and I see how it performs, I'll do a full proper review on the roof coatings. But pretty much anything you buy will work. This roof is worst case scenario. Literally the only thing holding this roof together is the coating. That is it. The shingles are disintegrating. The shingles really are only just ballast on the entire roof. There is no sealing power left in them. They're old, they're dried out, they're cracked. The wind catches them just a little bit, they blow away. There's just not much. There's just not much left. So at this point, like I said earlier in the video, I think I left that part in when I edited. I should have. Like I said earlier, some parts of this roof have 2 layers of shingles, some have 5. Some parts of this roof have 6 coatings of roof paint. Some of them have 1. This is the east side of the house that we're working on right now. And even though none of the roof is really all that good, but the east side of the house wasn't really that bad. I just painted it to glue everything down so the wind quit catching the shingles and whipping them off the roof. The south side, the north side, and the west side, which I guess are the only other 4 directions you can have, they are the worst. They're all equally bad, but the west side, well, no, I'm going to say the south side's the worst because it's got the largest area that has problems. And it sees all the sun, and more often than not, where we live, the wind blows out of the south. So as you can see, if you're used to it and all this other grand cool stuff, it doesn't take very long to put this on. I am smearing this on like you would not believe. I don't know how it looks on camera, but I'm smearing it on pretty good. Now, you also notice the way I'm painting with my brush. The goal here, and I know this seems a little stupid, but what I'm trying to do here, and this is already setting up here pretty good because it's already starting to get tacky. The theory painting this way is that I create little ridges to help slow the water down. That's the theory. Does it really matter? I don't know. If I was painting a wall, I promise you I would not be doing it this way. Because it looks ugly, but nobody's going to come up here and judge your roof based on the way it was painted. No one's going to care. The big thing is you want to fill all these gutters on the shingles, and you're never going to fill them completely. There's always going to be enough of a gutter left that the water will run through there like it's kind of supposed to. But all these little cracks and stuff, you want to get filled up real good. Cannot stress that enough. You see a nail that's starting to pop up, shove it down in there, paint over it. I'm going through this quicker than usual just because of the nature of patching a roof. You've always got kind of a depression where your new shingles are at, and you got to fill all that in where it meets, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of stuff in this video I haven't explained very well just because it's single takes, ladies and gentlemen. It's got to be pretty bad at a time like this for me to do a reshoot of a particular segment. Maybe you won't even see this video. Hell, I don't know. Maybe nobody will watch this video. I don't know. This is the absolute most important part I want to get done because it's basically has no protection. These are new shingles, and I put them on to where in theory they won't leak, but because everything around them is so bad, they're probably going to leak if I don't paint them. I'll just give them a little help. They'll like that. And then where I'm standing right now, as the stuff started to peel away, that needs to be painted again too. And that reminds me of something I probably should have said to start with, but I remembered it now, so you know, better late than never. Preparation. This stuff's pretty simple to deal with. The only problem I have with the gardener is that it's got a very strong ammonia smell. You've got to get in just the right position to where you do not catch a whiff of that ammonia, because it sucks. The Henry is not overly, it smells just like paint, just like regular paint. It's not bad. I don't know what the Rust-Oleum smells like, but they warn you on the gardener bucket that there is a very strong ammonia scent. They are not kidding. But you stand in just the right position, you don't smell it. Like right now, I don't smell it all that bad. As it starts to cure, the ammonia smell does go away. So anyhow, preparation for putting this stuff on is pretty simple. You just take a broom and you brush off all the loose crumbs, because if you don't, the paint stuff will still stick if you put enough of it on, and it will cure. But then you walk on it like I did, and it starts peeling out because it's basically a bunch of loose stuff under there that coating bonded to. It's not very solid. That's the only reason you would want to sweep it off. And it does glob a little bit worse if you leave a bunch of dirt and everything on it. So if you just take a broom, like a heavy broom, you peel the super loose shingles, and you just get rid of as much of the grit and dirt as possible, it will go ahead and stick and be just fine. But if you're in a hurry and you don't really have time to do that, or you didn't get it as good as you wanted because of whatever reason, just keep putting more coats on. It comes in 5-gallon buckets. 5 gallons will do a lot. Of course, it doesn't do as much as they say on the bucket because I put way more on than they recommend, I'm almost certain. They recommend you roll it on. And if you've got a brand new roof where your shingles are like this, yeah, you could probably roll it on. It'll just glue your shingles down and help reflect heat, and it'll keep everything cherry. But when you get to this point, you got to do stuff the hard way with a brush. Cleaning up, just use soap and water for every gallon of paint you put on. That's why I do it in buckets. In a little gallon bucket, it's easy to sit up here and deal with. It doesn't start to set up in the little gallon bucket. When you're done, rinse out your brush with soap and water really, really good. Let her dry for a bit, depending on the temperature. That will dictate the time that needs to dry, the brush. And then you can refill your bucket and come back up here and put more on a place you haven't already painted. And because I've done this so much, if I start in the morning about 9 o'clock when the sun is out and everything starts to warm up really good, if I start then, I can usually get, if I push really hard, I can get about 5 gallons on in a day. Most of the time I wait till the afternoon, and I can get about 3 gallons on, which doesn't sound like a lot because I'm moving really fast right now. Well, the problem is, when you get to doing this, you start getting tired, and then you don't move as fast. You don't even realize it. It's just, you know, bending over and stuff. It gets old. And then you start to sit down, and if you have to do edges, that takes longer because you have to sit and lean over, and you have to be extra careful. And when you're doing stuff like this, you gotta know it doesn't take very long if you know what you're doing. And you're used to it, you know what to expect, all that good stuff. I'll reposition you guys a bit so you can see try to remember if there's anything else I want to mention in this video. Yeah, so like in these spots here, I peeled all this stuff off. It was just kind of loose and cruddy when I put it on, and it's just peeling off again because I stepped on it with my boots. And tennis shoes, hikers, they're not as hard on a roof. That's why you're not supposed to wear work boots on a roof. You're supposed to wear like cheap disposable shoes, because you wear the shoe out rather than the roof, especially when you do this. It's very important, I guess, if you don't want to repaint it all the time. Give me my broom here. We'll go ahead and sweep that down a little bit more. But yeah, that's the biggest reason why this stuff started peeling, is because it was the base that the coating bonded to was just very, very loose. So when I put something heavy and coarse on it to grab it, you know, it's kind of like walking on grass with cleats. You're going to tear up the grass a little bit, sort of, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. We're almost out of this gallon. Yep, so we just basically glob it on, work it a couple directions, few strokes, and we're just going to go ahead and cover this entire piece here because it's all junk. The east side does not see as much sun as it probably needs to for this to cure super quickly. But it should be okay. We're at a time of year where the sun doesn't go down for a bit. It's not scientific. You're not trying to spread it thin. You're not painting a wall. You just want to glob it on here. Right or wrong, it works. And you can't argue with results. I mean, I suppose you can, but the result doesn't change. Now, if the raccoons come up here and tear this up again tonight, I'm going to be furious because I'm out of shingles. And the place in town does not sell them. The shingles I got last year, I went in there to buy some 3-tabs, and the guy in there was like, well, I think we might have some left. We don't really order them in anymore. We had somebody order a bunch, and then they didn't take delivery on them. So now we don't do that. You'll have to go to the next town over to get them. I was like, well, that's stupid. It's a 3-tab shingle. Most houses are roofed with a 3-tab shingle. I mean, they may have changed a little bit nowadays. I don't know. But they used to be, everything used to be a 3-tab shingle. You can see it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why do you not have 3-tab shingles? What if somebody needs to fix their roof? Well, you're basically SOL, is their response. I'm not going to name the company. And I'm not mad at the guy that works in the store. It's not his fault. He's not in charge of ordering. He was just the desk man and the fetcher. And the other thing that's frustrating about the local lumber yard is they don't carry 4x4s either. They're like, well, you have to go to the next town over if you want 4x4s. And you go to the next town over, and they tell you, yeah, well, we don't keep a lot of those because they're just so trashy. You're going to have to go to the big city of Wichita if you want 4x4s. Like, well, I don't have time to do that, really, but I guess I'll have to make time because you don't carry what I need. And I understand that the quality of lumber is just not the best, but these guys could reject these deliveries and say, no, take this stuff back. You know, tell the lumber yard or tell the mill that, look, we gotta have better 4x4s here. Because they're all pressure treated, they're junk, they twist, they warp because the tree's barely 10 years old when they make the damn things. Oh, look at that. There I go complaining about the price of and the quality of lumber again. Just like an old man. Well, that's okay, because I know a lot of old men watch this channel. I jest. But I know who watches my channel, I think. There's no women that watch this channel, that's for sure. Oh, yeah. It looks really nice when you get done. I'm telling you. Okay. We're getting there, but the sun's behind the damn clouds, so it's not going to cure very well. It'll cure enough to shed water, it ought to. And Now, we can paint this down here. Get all this sealed up. I don't think we want the kitchen full of water when I get up in the morning. This is a part of the attic where I can't really get to very easy to put buckets. So we definitely want to make sure we get this. Might as well just cover the whole thing while you're up here, right? I'm getting those little elm bugs out again. They like to bite, and let me tell you what, they hurt. They don't screw around. You take notice when they bite you. Might as well get that too. Oh man, got all kinds of stuff. I want to bring you guys in close to see this. One of the reasons you put this stuff on thick is because it will shrink over time. It will get hard. The roof does flex a little bit, especially if it's been kind of damaged. The wood's gotten soft from water that's leaked through, and then you paint it immediately afterwards, right? So this moves a little bit here, which is normal. I mean, shingles are supposed to do that. This is just another reason you don't want to line up all your gutters on your shingles. But it cracks, right? A little bit. So it's not such a big deal when you've got a roof that is actually in good shape and you're just putting this coating on to help it out. But when you have a roof where the only thing holding it together is the coating, this is bad. You don't want that. So what you have to do at the very least, because over here, I painted this a lot thicker. And this isn't even quite a year old, but it's starting to crack. You can't see it as bad, but it is starting to crack a little bit, and not bad enough to leak necessarily, unless you walk on it with your work boots. Oh, see right there, it's starting to split and everything. This part of the roof didn't leak. I was just painting it because I wanted to stop it from leaking. You know, it wasn't causing any problems. I wanted to keep it that way. The north side is the same way, but of course the frickin' Racon's left a mess there. I gotta get that off before I can paint that side. We're not gonna have time for everything today. We still have that to do up there. But when the stuff does crack and your roof starts to leak again, if it's like this one, so then what you want to do is come through and just start painting the gutters, which is why this over here is striped. Dad and I came up here and we painted all this the other day, and it held. I don't know if it's going to hold over this next rainstorm, but we got 5 inches of rain and it held. It didn't leak. Dad did this on the west side. He painted it solid down there where it's really bad. I painted this entire thing solid because it had not been painted in the past couple years, and you could tell it was starting to crack, and especially down there where it starts to get all wonky and all over the place. It was splitting pretty bad. This north part of the roof here is always what has been leaking. This over here, not so much, but every once in a while, I'll go ahead and go over the whole roof again if I've got time and if I've got the extra material. Over here on the east side, I haven't painted this in a couple, 3 years. I think October of 22 is the last time I was over here. And it was not very warm. It was just barely warm enough for me to come up here and do this. And it was only between like 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock that I could be up here. So I was pressed for time. So we're going to give it a once over as best we can, but I'm almost out of material. I'm going to go get more, but I got to sweep all this off. I got to pick it up so that I have room to paint the rest of this. I think this spot right here is from the coons. I'm almost certain. And I'm not overly worried about it down here, because then you're getting to the edge of the roof where it's not going to go through the walls or anything. It's just going to go right out, because I took all the softening off because it was not in good shape. So yeah, that's just something you want to keep an eye out for. It will crack, it will shrink, it will get hard. That is why you have to apply a couple of coats After you get a good couple, 3 coats on top, basically after that, if it starts leaking, just start painting the gutters, and any nails that pop up, take care of them, and it'll keep sealing your roof. I mean, it is amazing stuff, and I would imagine most of you watching this, if you decide to put this on, your roof is not as bad as this one. But if it is, you can rest assured that it will work if you put enough of it on. And while it may not eventually be cheaper than a new roof, it adds up. It is more time effective. It is more time flexible than putting a roof on, especially if you can't do the roof yourself. If you have to hire it done, and all the contractors are busy and blah, blah, blah. This stuff is a Band-Aid, but it does work, and if you put enough Band-Aids on it, will stop bleeding. Maybe. Well, here we are. Sun's still up, but the clouds won't go away, so I don't know how well this is going to cure, but this is about all I got done. This was 2 gallons of paint. I did what I could with the time I had. It did take a little bit longer to mess with that than I anticipated, but because I spent most of the morning looking for my scrub brush, I didn't realize there was a hole there until about 10:30. So that really threw the whole day off. If I had known when I woke up that there was a hole in the roof, I probably would have been done by now. Probably would have had 3 gallons on here, but I got that patched up there. I just shoved those little drops I had, those little triangles in that hole, and painted over it. You'll never know it wasn't supposed to be that way by the time that paint cures. So the rest of this I started painting. This north side I haven't touched for a couple, 3 years. It's starting to crack real bad. I don't even think you need to look close to see it. I know I need to get to it. I know the rest of the roof needs a fresh coat where it's not actively leaking, but right now we're just trying to stop the major problems and deal with everything else later. So it's almost 5:30, much later than I wanted it to be. I'm gonna go rinse out my bucket, get the rest of my stuff off the roof, sweep it off a bit better. I still have all that to clean up in case it does rain tonight. I got all that to sweep down. Plenty to do still, but in theory, I'm not gonna walk on this, but we can get a little closer. In theory, this will hold, and hopefully the Racoons won't come back up here and tear stuff up. One of these days, we're gonna get rid of all these Chinese elm trees. Probably have to speed that up. If the coons keep coming up here and tearing the hell out of the roof, we're gonna have to take these trees out sooner rather than later. And it's not that we can't, it's just that it's a lot of time and we're trying to do other stuff. But I don't know, we'll just see. But for now, I think that will do it for this video. I will get off of here. I have plenty to do still, and I think I've spent enough time with the camera today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If I somehow get this edited and uploaded, I hope that you enjoyed watching it and stuff. We'll talk more about the roof coating when I use that Rust-Oleum. That way we can go over 3 brands at once, advantages and disadvantages, stuff like that. So that's going to be a while, though. Until then, you guys keep your house dry, and we'll see you later.